You're listening to the Core Factors audio library, spoken versions of Core Factors articles and research designed to support accessibility and for listening while commuting, working, or reflecting. This piece is titled Cognitive Diversity and the Skills That Help Teams Work Across Differences. The following narration reflects the original content and intent of the written article.
Cognitive diversity and the skills that help teams work across differences. Why cognitive diversity matters more than ever. Work today is defined by complexity. Teams face ambiguous problems, rapidly changing environments, and constant pressure to innovate. In this context, cognitive diversity, the presence of different ways of thinking, interpreting information, and solving problems, has become one of the most valuable assets an organization can develop. Research consistently shows that teams with diverse thinking patterns outperform more uniform groups when facing complex challenges. They generate more innovative ideas, avoid blind spots, and arrive at stronger decisions. Yet despite these advantages, many teams struggle to work effectively across differences. The issue is not the presence of diversity, it is the lack of shared understanding around how those differences show up in behavior. When differences feel personal. Cognitive diversity would be easy to leverage if people naturally recognized and appreciated differences in how others think and communicate. In practice, teams often fall into what Core Factors describes as a be like me bias. This is the assumption that others should approach problems, communicate, and make decisions in the same way we do. When this assumption goes unexamined, predictable differences begin to feel like interpersonal conflict. An analytical thinker may see fast decision-making as impulsive. A brainstorming-oriented contributor may view structured planning as rigid. Someone focused on emotional dynamics may feel dismissed by logic-first communication. A reflective thinker may feel overshadowed by those who think out loud. In each case, the tension is not personal. It is rooted in different ways of processing information and engaging with others. Recognizing this distinction is essential for effective collaboration. What research tells us about diverse teams. Research in organizational psychology and team science reinforces the value of cognitive diversity. Studies show that teams with varied thinking patterns perform better when solving complex, unfamiliar problems. They explore multiple angles instead of converging too quickly on a single solution. Inclusive decision-making processes also lead to faster decisions with fewer meetings, while reducing groupthink and overconfidence. More recent findings suggest that development tools, including AI-supported systems, can strengthen these outcomes by encouraging reflection and helping individuals engage more consistently across differences. However, cognitive diversity alone is not enough. It only improves performance when teams develop the interpersonal skills needed to work across those differences effectively. The skills that make cognitive diversity work. To translate awareness into effective collaboration, teams need a specific set of capabilities. These include self-awareness of one's own thinking patterns and blind spots, the ability to take perspective and consider alternative viewpoints, interpersonal effectiveness when working with different approaches, a shared language for discussing differences objectively, adaptability in how communication and decisions are approached. Core Factors refers to these as portable people skills, capabilities that carry across roles, relationships, and situations. Without these skills, cognitive diversity can create friction. With them, it becomes a powerful advantage. The role of ongoing reflection. Working across differences is not a one-time learning event. It is a continuous process. Teams become more effective when they regularly reflect on how they interact, especially after moments of tension or misunderstanding. Simple practices can make a meaningful difference. Revisiting shared language for discussing differences. Reflecting on how decisions were made and interpreted. Creating space for quieter or more reflective voices. Encouraging curiosity instead of assumption. Over time, these practices help teams move from reactive communication to intentional collaboration. How AI can support, not replace, development. Recent research highlights the role of AI-supported tools in strengthening collaboration. These tools can prompt reflection, support preparation for complex interactions, and reinforce learning between formal development moments. They help individuals stay engaged with their growth, particularly in real-world situations where habits tend to take over. Importantly, AI does not replace human interaction or facilitation. It supports consistency and follow-through, helping individuals apply insights more regularly. This combination of human insight and ongoing reinforcement is what allows cognitive diversity to become a sustained advantage. Building teams that work across differences. For practitioners, the goal is not just to introduce cognitive diversity concepts, but to help teams build the skills required to use them effectively. This involves creating shared language around differences, encouraging regular reflection and discussion, supporting adaptability in communication and decision-making, reinforcing learning over time. When these elements are in place, teams begin to experience differences as resources rather than obstacles. Collaboration becomes more intentional, decision-making becomes more robust, and teams develop the flexibility needed to perform in complex environments. Closing. Cognitive diversity is not just a characteristic of high-performing teams. It is a capability that must be supported, practiced, and sustained. When individuals understand how they think, how others think, and how to work across those differences, teams become more effective, adaptable, and resilient.
This concludes the audio version of this Core Factors article. You can find the full written version and additional practitioner resources at corefactors.com.